Rebecca Jenkins, Daniel Marks,
Yes.
Jennifer Rogolick,
Yes.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Josie Sheddick.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
During each regular and special open meeting of the board, any person may comment to or ask questions of the board, subject to reasonable established time constraints. The board listens to comments and questions during public participation. The board's response to comments or questions is managed through policy 3:30, chain of command, and not by the board during the public meeting. We have a sign-in sheet at the beginning at the entrance, and I have been told that there is no public participation indicated tonight. So we will move on to administrative reports, and I'll turn that over to our superintendents.
I think that's been included with all of our department and building updates, and I know that Dr. Riley has one thing to add, to share, which is the president update.
Yes, I asked John Mallory to come tonight and from ICI to just give us a quick update on plans for our parking lot and how we're doing with that.
John Mallory, ICI. Scheduled start June 1st. Start seeing some fencing going up, and looking for a very quick and quick turnover.
When do you expect to be done?
August 1st.
August 1st?
Yeah.
Okay.
Assuming any
questions?
unforeseen conditions are.
Will this front lot be accessible at all, or will all traffic to the school have to get routed off of Valley View?
This front lot will not be accessible at all.
Okay.
All traffic to the school, all drop off, summer school, everything else is gonna have to run through the new east parking lot.
Okay, perfect. So obviously the communication will go out for that.
And the last day that parking lot will be accessible is
June 1st.
June. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hey, see my friend, hockey student. Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to highlight in the executive summary?
Well, from the facilities point, our pumps have been ordered.
Great.
Any ETA on those?
Yes, I think June 9th?
5th.
5th.
Okay.
June 5th is the worst case scenario. We hope it's gonna be sometime in May.
Great.
And we do have a backup plan.
Okay, that was my question.
Thank
was that
you.
There has since been a
Has
backup
that
plan identified if something happens between now and then.
Yes.
Great.
That's great, thank you.
That is really great. Any questions or comments from anybody on the board about the executive summary?
I have none.
Not here.
Great. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
preparing such a thorough report. May I have a motion to approve resignation agreement and release with Dennis Eng? So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Daniel Marks,
Yes.
Jennifer Rogolick,
Yes.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Josie Shaddick.
Yes.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve non-union salary adjustments for 2026 through 2027? Actually, this is, we need
You want
to
to
table
table
this,
this?
yes. May I have a motion to table item 8.2 to approve non-union salary adjustments for 2026 to 2027. We will table this and it will be on our agenda for the meeting.
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Jennifer Rogolick,
Yes.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Daniel Marks,
Yes.
Josie Shaddick.
Yes.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve Langton Group for lawn and grounds maintenance?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Could you speak to this,
Sure.
yes, please?
So we discussed this, I think it was last meeting, relative to having our lawn, our green areas professionally managed. You directed me to go out for proposals, see how we would do. I think our proposals came in very well, and you can see from the chart I've given you. We did our reference checks on Langton, and they're excellent, excellent. Everybody, I think the worst grade they got from one of the clients was an A-. And that was because they had a little bit of trouble when they started up. They straightened it out right away. So this will be about a third of the cost of doing it ourselves. You can figure that we'll save somewhere around $45,000 to $60,000 a year. Going in this direction, I think we'll get better results. It also includes mulch, so that's our recommendation is for the board to go in this direction.
Great.
Any questions?
Out of the four, it's great to see that this is one of the lower cost. That's such great reviews. And to clarify, this does not include snow and
Nope.
salting. That would be
We'll
separate.
cross that bridge when
Something
we get there.
Thank you. Any questions?
No questions.
All right. Roll call.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Daniel Marks,
Yes.
Jennifer Regolik,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, we have a communications upgrade.
That's me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to the board for the opportunity to speak briefly tonight about some exciting things that we have going on here in the district, specifically regarding transportation department, as well as the technology department, and working along with the administrative team. Not to look back too far, but with previous administrations, the technology department has not really been welcomed into discussions with upgrades in the transportation department for whatever reason. Thanks to the direction of Joe and Bob, now we've been able to have these great conversations. And so we have some exciting updates regarding this. In meeting with the administrative team, some things immediately came up as issues with the current deployment of technology with regard to transportation. Those specifics are right here, specifically with the bus radios, the bus cameras, and the student ridership tracking app. We'll get into those details next. The first one is the bus radios. Currently, and this is a little bit outdated because we've actually addressed this already, but bus radios were not talking with the handsets that you see our staff walking around with every day. And so there was, if anyone was in the pickup line, you'd see our poor bus duty workers were having to walk around with two radios talking into both hands. Absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable. We were able to quickly upgrade that. And so I worked with our bus provider and with our transportation director to upgrade our radios so that we are now able to have all of our radios talk to each other. There's no need to have two sets of radios at a time. So I'll quickly go through that one. Bus cameras is the next one. This one has not been addressed yet. Currently, just so everyone knows, with our camera system, it's kind of like going back to the 80s and the 90s with Blockbuster video. If we want to see some video that happened on a bus, and this often happens for our principals, they need to see something that may have happened on a bus. Our transportation director literally has to go out to the bus, pull off, like you're going to Blockbuster, that video drive, put it onto a proprietary computer, find the software and find the video and walk it over to our principals, and then they can review it. This has to happen multiple times per week. That's the current situation. With our proposal, we would like to add cellular-enabled connections on our buses so we have a live view of cameras as those buses are moving. We'd also like to have cloud storage so that not only are we seeing it live, but we're seeing what did happen earlier this week or last week so our principals can quickly and efficiently get that information for whatever need that there may be. And certainly there are needs, as our principals can tell you. Specific numbers are listed here as to what we'd like to do. I'm working with Joe on these things right now. But for the hardware, which is at the bottom, it's around $15,000, $15,500. And then for the cellular and hosting of the data, it's around $7,500. Working with Joe on these numbers right now, we have not gone through with this purchase yet. There is some planning that needs to go into it, such as acquisition of hardware, installation on the buses, and that kind of thing. But we are working, like I said, with the business department to make this happen so that we can make the situation much more usable for our principals, for our teachers, ultimately for our students and parents. The last one that we've brought up in our meetings, in our planning meetings with the administrative team, was the student ridership tracking app. This is a new addition to the buses this year, and you may have heard about the app that we've added on the buses. Currently, for students to get added into the app, and they may have told you this, the bus driver has a tablet on each bus, and they have to manually search through a list on that tablet and say, here's Johnny, he just got on the bus. Jennifer just got on the bus. That kind of thing. It's very slow load times. It's added, especially on those days when you get a text that says we have a combo route. It's making kids get home much, much later. Also, the data is not always complete. Sometimes it's inaccurate if incorrect buttons were pressed, or a driver does have the option to say, oh, they're all here, bam. With our new proposed system, we would like to add RFID cards to each student's backpack so that they can walk in, kind of like what I'm wearing here. They can walk to the bus, they'll be attached to their backpack, they swipe on, and they're on the bus. There'll also be feedback to the driver on that tablet that says this student belongs on this bus. We have had some rare instances in which a student gets on the wrong bus, maybe for a young student, or a student just wanted to go home with his friend and he got on the wrong bus. If he did that with his card, there would be instant feedback to the driver now that says this student does not belong on bus 2, he belongs on bus 6. Additionally, for parents, they would be able to get an app that says Johnny has just gotten on the bus. And when he gets to the stop and he checks out, parent would get an alert on their phone that says Johnny just got off the bus at this crossroad at this time. We currently cannot provide that. With this solution, we would be able to. The cost associated with that for the reader system, which would have to be installed on each bus, we already have the tablets. We'd be adding the readers, would be around $5,500. And then to get the first set of cards for our students would be about $3,000. Again, we have not started the process of ordering these things yet. There's some planning that has to happen. I've been working with the business office and Dr. Joe on these things. But these totals are listed here on this project total slide. The first one, like I said, the radio updates are already completed. The others we are currently working on regarding the financials, the ordering of the hardware, and the installation timeline. That's all I have. I wanted to open it up briefly for questions if anybody had any questions or thoughts about where we stand with some of these things. Otherwise, thank you guys. Yes?
Do the products come with like a warranty, the things that are being used by the bus drivers? Just thinking like durability and...
These are actually, so I highlighted them in different colors. These are 3 different vendors, so it depends on the vendor. Typically, they're going to say it's going to be a year coverage. They can't guarantee it for longer than that because obviously it's being used in the field. But usually about a year. Yep.
And then even if a student is like an irregular bus rider,
Yeah.
the same thing goes
Yeah.
works.
Yep, it's all programmed into the system. It's a database. It's very smooth. It's awesome for the drivers really because they get that feedback right away. If it's an irregular student they don't see every day, it will instantly give them feedback that says yes, they should be or should not be on this bus.
And then is there a system in place for like parents to contact like the transportation department or the principals, or like what is that?
It's true. Yeah. Do you want to answer it to that?
What was the question?
Just what was the procedures in place to like for parents if like say they have an irregular bus rider, like you get emails from me probably once a month saying, hey, Iper's gonna ride the bus. I don't know that I've ever seen actual like policies and procedures. I've just emailed you because you're in charge of it, and then I email the office and his teacher just so I know that he's safe and people are aware of it. Are we still going to be working through those processes?
Until everything is in place, yes, I would still work with those same parameters.
Perfect, thank you.
Just to clarify, the video cameras streaming will be for administrators. That is not something parents will have access to, correct?
Absolutely correct. Yeah. Very limited on who has access.
Second question, are there any known security concerns with cellular streaming from buses?
We know many other districts that are doing this locally. We work with these companies that specifically work with education and transportation, so it's not just a one-off company that's in the area and some dude throwing hardware into the buses. It's well-known companies that work with many school districts.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much,
Just got one last point.
Yes, sir.
Question, sorry.
All
Do you
good?
have a timeline for this? Are you would this be intended to be done before the end of the school year or at the beginning of next?
We've talked about that. So with the card readers, like I said, we already have the tablets on the buses. What we really need is to get the readers installed and then get the cards. We have extended school year, so ESY starting in June. We thought, in working with Angela Anderson, our student services director, that might be a great pilot group that we can start with just to see, work out the kinks before the start of the school year.
That's fine.
And then Jessica McKenzie, our principal at elementary, she's actually used this system in her previous district, so we'll have some background there that will help us out to get started. As far as the cameras go, that's really going to be, that one's more labor intensive with the installation, so it's going to be ordering the hardware, getting those things installed. But I would anticipate that's something we could do over the summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Scott? Thank you again, Scott.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, sir.
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the regular minutes from March 10th, 2026, Finance Committee of the whole regular and executive session minutes from March 10th, 2026, and regular and executive session minutes from April 4th, 2026, bills payable, treasurer's report, quarterly financial and investment reports, and personnel action reports.
Second.
Roll call?
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Daniel Marks,
Yes.
Jennifer Regola,
Yes.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck,
Yes.
motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve the first reading of Board Policy Trust 121 additions, deletions, changes?
So moved.
Second.
Can I just say that for
Absolutely.
new board members that may have not had experience with the policy, how we do this, we read it, we don't really read it, it's just put up for reading. It's in your packet, you can read it. Jackie and I have gone through each policy. We've noted whatever the changes were. There were nothing, if there's ever anything significant, we'll actually bring it to the board. There was nothing significant in this group of policies.
Great, thank you very much for clarifying. Any questions about that? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-07 for the Regional Office of Education Safe School Intergovernmental Agreement?
So moved. Second.
Could you speak to this, please?
Sure, I was just gonna say this is an annual agreement that we make with the regional office. They get a grant to provide this service for any students that may require it. And if we do have a student that is required to go to the regional safe school due to truancy or behavior or any other type of reasons, of course, there's always a placement process for it, but that's the cost that we see in that agreement for being a member of that.
Great, and this is something we have historically done as long as I've been part of the board, and so it seems appropriate. Any questions?
No questions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to appoint Catherine Nelson as school treasurer for 2026-2027 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Just a moment. We just. Yeah. we just-
You can go back.
Oh, I see, yep, okay. We're gonna backtrack. May I have a motion to approve the adoption and implementation of the comprehensive school threat assessment guidelines?
So moved.
Second.
Could you please speak to this?
Sure, I'm gonna actually, as you can see, there's a very detailed memo provided by Mrs. Anderson, who's our Director of Student Services, and Mrs. Seeger in the audience, not to put you on the spot, Mrs. Anderson, but since you did the background and the update before the board, would you be able to just give a brief overview of this?
Sure. This fall, we went to a training session, our threat assessment team that was in the board policy for our old protocol. We went to the CSTAG presentation and training in the ROE. It's something that the Henry County ROE is implementing in a lot of different schools in the region. Most schools are starting to have that being something to use for their protocols for threat assessments. It's a really nice process. It has very clear outline of what to do. Our staff is already trained. The plan was to implement it for next year, but in realizing that the current policy was not something we had been training regularly on, we thought since we have our staff already trained, it was silly to wait if we were gonna use those protocols. They're scientifically based and it's very detailed and gives you a very express set of guidelines to figure out if a threat is credible or not and what to do about it. So I would suggest implementing it just because we do have the protocols and it is the best practice.
And I'm seeing in our memo, this is something endorsed by the Illinois State Board of Education and the United States Secret Service, which I think speaks to.
And they did a process where they trained a trainer. I'm the trainer for our district, so it is something we can continue to train people on, do refreshers every fall, and have those new staff that come on board that are part of our threat assessment team trained.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Motion carried.
Now, may I have a motion to appoint Catherine Nelson as school treasurer for the 2026-2027 school year?
So,
Second.
so for those of you who are on the board new, school treasurer basically serves the purpose of being an extra set of eyes for the district. Some counties, some townships have their own treasurer for all the schools. Some counties, you actually have a treasurer within your school district. I think the philosophy here is that we like the extra set of eyes to be outside the district. And Kathy is a very experienced business person and has been doing this for a long time for us. And thus, the recommendation.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
I'll just say I appreciate this recommendation.
It is nice to hear that reinforced. Thank you. Roll call.
Jennifer Regolich,
Yes.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Daniel Marks,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
May I have a motion to approve the part-time business manager contract for Dr. Joe Bailey for fiscal year 2027?
So moved.
Second.
Nicole, would you like to speak to this or say anything as the lead on this project?
We are very fortunate to have Joe continue on with us for the next school year, and I'm excited for the opportunity, and he's gonna be putting our district in a great spot.
Yeah, I agree. I am very thankful for the work that you've done over the last handful of months. We have really identified some priority needs, and your approach is just wonderful, and it's great to collaborate with you. So I'm very thankful that you are willing to continue working with us next year in a similar capacity to the business office.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Great. Roll call.
Nicole Segura,
Yes.
Kristen Thacker,
Yes.
Stephanie Hausch,
Yes.
Daniel Marks,
Yes.
Jennifer Regolich,
Yes.
Josie Shattuck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to you for our financial presentation.
Okay, Scott, who's gonna do that? Jackie? All right. I'll stand up for this. Way back here.
I might need your help to start.
Scott, let's see. Okay.
There we go. Who's going up? Okay, so here we go. Some of you have gotten this presentation, parts of it prior, so bear with me if you've seen this or heard this, but I'm gonna pretend nobody has, and therefore I'm gonna start from scratch. Basically, Illinois school finance, schools are run with 9 separate funds. 4 of those funds are for sure what we call operating funds. Sometimes the working cash fund is considered an operating fund as well. or in this case, the IMRF fund, the retirement fund. We consider these 5 funds operating funds in our district. Operating funds means that we actually levy money into, we levy money into each of these funds if we have enough levy to actually levy into these funds. The way the operating funds work is that they actually take care of operating the school district. So your educational fund, that's where probably 75 to 80% of your expenditures are made. That's where 75 to 80% of your revenue goes when you get the levy. By the way, a levy is nothing more than asking the taxpayers to please support us again by law. They are required to do it, but we still ask them, and they support us, and so that's what a levy is. So when I say levy, that's what I mean. The educational fund is really the lion's share of our revenue and expenditures because that involves our teachers, our educational programming, any kind of purchase service for children, all comes out of the ed fund. The second largest fund is your O&M fund, operations and maintenance. That deals with taking care of the facilities, paying the custodians, taking care of leaks in the roof and other things like that, maintenance of buildings. So that's our second largest fund. That's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12% of our levy. Then we have our transportation fund, which is usually pretty much a fixed number that you'll know based on your ridership and based on the cost of previous years. It's usually predictable except in cases where you have either fast growing enrollment or declining enrollment. And we levy for that, and that's probably 4 or 5 cents, maybe a little bit more than that a year. But when you say 4 or 5 cents, that means 4 or 5 cents on every $100 that we levy onto our taxpayers. So it actually comes out to about $400,000 a year in actually levy results. Our working cash fund is a fund that is kind of like our rainy day fund. That's where we want to have some money in there, substantive money to actually be able to fix something when it breaks that is not covered by insurance, or in fact to do some things that the board has wanted to do or the community has wanted, but just haven't been able to afford it. However, you have to fund these other operating funds before you can fund the working cash fund. And oftentimes, if a district is in distress, you don't have enough levy left to fund the working cash fund or to not fund it substantially. The debt service fund, we have no debt in our debt service fund. We have debt, but that debt is actually being taken out of the ed fund and the O&M fund, and I'll explain more about that in a bit. The board historically has decided that they wanted not to have any debt in the debt service fund. However, that is where our debt in best practice should be, because that is handled by the clerk, the county clerk. We never see it. It's in and out money, but not in our case. We actually see it, and we have to actually pay it. Capital Projects Fund, that's your Fund 60. This district, when you look at our fund balances in a moment, you'll see that we had $22 million, $23 million in fund balance. Most of that was in your Fund 60, and that was due to the revenue bonds that we sold in 21 and 23. Fund 60 can only be used for construction, for fixing things, for building new things. And hence we have 2 new additions here, and some nice interior features as well from that Capital Projects Fund. We're about out of that money. We'll finish that fund out with our parking lot this summer. I doubt if we'll have more than a couple $1,000s in it by the end of the summer. You always want to keep a little bit in it because you always want to levy a little bit in it so that the fund stays open. But as I said, the majority of your levy is going to go to the operating funds. IMRF and Social Security is determined by law. We don't have a choice on that. We have to maintain that fund. We have to maintain it at a level that we're told it should be. And so we levy for that, but we really levy based on the formula that we get, because we don't want anybody to short on their retirement. This is not that, but that IMRF Social Security fund has nothing to do with TRS, which is a teacher retirement system, which is a whole different ball of wax, and is not really shown. That's really shown, if it's shown anywhere, in our ed fund. Our tort fund is basically, originally it was used to pay for attorney fees, tort, any kind of legal thing. It has also become really our main point for our liability insurance, although liability insurance is increasing so fast that our tort fund is not able to keep up with it, so we have to take the remainder from our ed fund. And then we got our fire and life safety prevention fund. That is, we have $1.4 million in there currently. By the end of the summer, in the parking lot, we'll be down to zero in that. We were allowed by the state to sweep that fund and use it for our parking lot because we had finished all the other priorities on our 10-year life safety report. So we're very fortunate to be able to do that. And the district's gonna have a beautiful parking lot. Okay. Any questions? I'll take questions from the audience if you want. Next. So how did we get here right now, where we're at right now? Well, in FY21, we had alternate revenue bonds. We already had those out. It's very rare in a school district to have those. Some districts do that, but they also use their Fund 30. We have only used this funding source for our projects. But we maintained it and we were able to manage it with payments of $615,000 a year since 2013, and we paid off whatever the original bond was that was taken out in 13. We also, the superintendent at the time, the board, cobbled together additional revenue bonds, or no, these revenue bonds, we sold another set, and we also used our ESSER money, which was our COVID money, and we were able to do our master facility plan phase 1. But there's a cost to that, and I'll show you the cost in a moment. But when we have these alternate revenue bonds coming out of our operating funds, that means that that's whatever the amount of that payment is money we can't use on children or for children, on books, on the kids, whatever goes into that annual expenditure per child. FY22, the district had, we didn't, I wasn't here, but there was a community engagement process that was conducted. And there was actually a poll taken among the families and taxpayers in the district, and relative to running a referendum to fund phase 2 of the master facilities plan. And that poll came back about 30 to 70 in that neighborhood, I believe, as a negative, no referendum. So the district then went to the alternate revenue bond route and issued another $13 million in alternate revenue bonds. That amount, the first amount was coming out of our ed fund. The second amount was coming out of our O&M fund, and that's about $955,000 a year. For a levy that we get of maybe, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 million a year. So you can see most of our levy in our O&M fund goes to pay alternate revenue bonds, but they didn't kick in for a year or two. So like the 21 bonds kicked in FY 24, and then the FY25 year, or actually it is this year, FY26 year, the additional alternate revenue bonds kicked in with the O&M fund. And we paid those in January. But in paying those, we actually entered deficit spending. We already had a small deficit due to increased staffing, but we were able to manage that. But with these additional alternate revenue bond payments, we are not able to manage that going forward. Next, please. Also, the board in 2024 for the levy decided not to take the full levy, which is a very rare thing and something I've not encountered before. We left about $500,000 on the table. And the problem with that is you can never recapture it. Once you let that levy go, 20 days after January 1st, after the levy's been put in, you lose that ability to levy that amount. So you can compound that $500,000 roughly per year, and over 10 years, the district will have lost with interest about $5.5 million. And that is pretty much exactly what our deficit would be without the alternate revenue bonds. With the alternate revenue bonds, it pushes us over to a point where we are actually taking from our savings and paying those bonds off, which we didn't have a lot of savings to start with. And so I'll show you a slide in a little bit that we're going to have to really deal with. Next, please. So you can see this little slide thing here is actually pretty good. Makes a lot of sense. Our expenditures are way outweighing what our revenue is we're bringing in. And to compensate for that, it's like if you have a checkbook at home, which we all do, and you go to your checking account and decide you want to go to Cabo or something, and you write a check, you go on vacation. Well, that month, it's probably you're gonna spend more money than you're bringing in. But you can't keep doing that because your checking account will go upside down. That's what's happening to us right now. Our checking account is upside down. Now, we can deal with this in a couple of different ways. One is status quo, don't do anything. By 2028, and you'll see this in the chart, we have no cash. We will have to be borrowing more money just to pay our staff. Speaking of staff, that's where the largest portion of our expenditures is in our people, because education is a people business. So we spend money on people, mostly. So when we are looking at reductions in our expenditures to balance that teeter-totter, we have to be looking at people. And this year we have started that process. So we're on option one right now because we can't afford to do nothing. We've actually not refilled several classroom positions. We are reducing some of our special ed services and our personnel. There's some other things that we're doing, but the ultimate result is we're going to be reducing our deficit by about $1 million per year in expenditures. And the idea is we want to reduce that deficit and turn it into a surplus eventually. And you want to start rebuilding actually your funds, your fund balances. Healthy districts have a fund balance increase each year so that someday they can do more building or whatever. We don't have that. We haven't had it in a couple of years now. It was masked by the Fund 60 expenditures because we had a lot of money in Fund 60, but we didn't have a lot of money in our other funds. Now that Fund 60 is gone, we're actually able to see what we actually have left, and we don't have a lot left. On the next slide, the green line is our fund balance line. The blue line is our 30% where we should be line. Actually, it's 25% line, I think, right? I switch it around, it's 35%. That's really 35% is a sign of a really healthy district. 35% or higher. This year we're at about 29%. You can see where the lines are crossing there. Once we dip below 25%, which will be next year, we will begin to feel it at the state level because they're going to take away points or a point off our financial rating. We also could be punished by our bond companies if they drop us from where we're at AA to less than AA. So there's a lot of bad stuff that comes with this green line that this board has willingly taken on to try to address. And they've asked me to work with them to address it as well. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough going forward. And as a result, we're going to do some affirmative, positive, proactive things. One of the things we're going to do is, with the board's permission, and I hope to get direction at the next board meeting, to create a financial planning task force with myself, the new superintendent, handover, depending on the meeting, a couple parents, a couple just general residents, hopefully some negative people who have criticized us in the past. But we want to really take a look at our situation here. We're going to need help. We got to figure this out as a community. The school district cannot do it by itself. Next, please. So, with what we've done this year, we've been able to slow that green line down in the forecast. It will be true because numbers don't lie, but we're not going to be able to change this green line. It's still going to be diving because we're still, even though we correct that structural deficit of about $400,000, we still have $1.7 million that we are paying out of our savings account. So while we slow that line, we don't fix it. And that's part of what the Financial Planning Task Force will be charged to do, is to come back to the board with some recommendations. Next, please. Some of the things that we're already doing, we've taken advantage of some retirements and not rehired those positions. We have a soft hiring freeze, as the administrators well know, on any non-essential positions. We are getting rid of our offices over here, and we're moving our offices back to the school. We're looking at all our purchase services, our supplies, teacher supplies, and our personnel. We can't do a lot for FY27 because a lot of the stuff we have to do, the dates have already passed. However, going forward, depending on what the answers are that we can find with our financial planning committee, it will involve additional reductions in staff. It has to, because that's the only place we have money. That's the only place mostly where we spend money. If you look on the next page, these were our fund balances, and you can see them as of the end of FY25, which was June 30 of 25. We had $22,600,000 in the bank. By the end of that year, that number was in half. Now, I would say because we did construction, that's nothing to worry about. However, you still have that structural deficit, which ate about $400,000 to $500,000 additional, not from Fund 60, but from your Fund 10, from your savings account. So this year's, when we do this chart a year from now, it's going to look way different. Not good, because our numbers are getting low, and you can look at the previous charts to see where those numbers are projected to be. Right now, if you go to the next slide, I know this is hard to read, but we'll put this presentation up on our website. But all that red you see, even if you can't see the numbers, That's all malo, no good, bad. And that's a big change for this district from FY21 to FY26. And moving forward, that's what we're gonna have to address. We have no choice. Our projected deficit in FY31, our end of the year fund balance is projected to be minus $2 million. That means we're out of cash in all our funds, and we're $2 million deeper in debt. Again, we got to do something about this, and I think the board's on board to do that. So we're starting with our fiscal correction. Next, please. And then we're looking future and forward, which is we're going to have this oversight committee, this committee to assist the board, to advise the board on future reductions, on future actions to address the deficit. And they will come back to this board with a list or a set of recommendations, hopefully as early as perhaps September. Maybe not, maybe it'll take longer because there's some education that has to go on with this committee. But then we can promise as a board, the board can promise, and we as an administrative team can promise that what we're going to do relative to building trust and working with the community is that we're going to be totally transparent. The good, the bad, the ugly, our community will know about, because really it's the community schools. The community owns these schools. And we want to make sure they're healthy for the future children that are going to come here, and for the staff that currently and future will work here. So with all that said, I'm going to close this out. If you have an interest in being on this committee, my email is jbailey@dist46.org. Send me an email, talk to me. More than welcome. We want to keep it somewhere between 7 and 12 people. Anything more than that, it becomes a fire drill. So, with all that said, any questions?
Why aren't we talking about raising money?
Well, in what way?
Another referendum? I mean, why? I guess I don't understand why we didn't let it go to a vote in 21. That's kind of past, but why aren't we talking about raising new money I mean, the best alternative, you still have 7-8 years out, we're broke.
Not 7-8 years.
Like
3. That's a great question. If you're interested, put your name in for the committee. We'll have an answer to that within the matter of 7
I have a
months.
question. David Underwood's here. Are we doing the lithium battery in the school, the 2.2 million? Is that what was planned with Butte?
Hold on, that's not what this session is for. Okay? Well, maybe after.
Sure.
Any other questions about our district from me? Yes.
What does the hiring freeze look like going into next year with the classes?
Well, our class numbers are gonna have to start floating. They're gonna have to get bigger.
So we're at 2021 right now.
Mhm.
So just from where we're at right now,
And what grade level, what class?
he's in second. He'll go into
Uh-huh.
third next year. So they just got another new student. It's great.
Mhm.
I mean, what's that? 25, 26 kids in a class next year for third grade?
I don't know what our enrollments are in third grade yet, but maybe. I'm not gonna say no, but I don't know. Not right now.
And with there being no additional hiring, I would assume that's less paras, less
Excuse me?
less paraprofessionals in the classroom then?
Right now, we're just getting through this year. Part of the job of this committee will be to help us figure that out. Our goal is always to have small class sizes with plenty of support, right? Unfortunately, at this point in time, we can't afford it. We can afford what we have for a year or two, But as we go forward, we have to be very thoughtful in what we do and how we manage that. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
So we've hit a levy where for this tax year, we know where our taxes are going to be. You've already set that off.
Mhm.
Did we take the max amount this year?
Yes, we did.
Because I missed that meeting, so I wanted.
We tried to go back and get, but we were told we can't.
And then, so even hitting max for the next 3 years, we will still be on what we saw on the screen.
Exactly.
Carla, did you have an
Did I see another question? David?
I have the exact same question.
It's what it is, you know, we have a levy. That levy, the significant changes to that levy would be new construction. So if all of a sudden we got 10 Walmarts or something like that, probably have a really good impact on us. This battery farm would actually answer your question, because that's supposed to bring in about the amount of our deficit. But we have no information on when, how, anything like that. We're actually in support of that battery farm simply for this reason. Actually, I'm not speaking for the board. I'm saying I am as business manager. Board may fire me now, but I am, because all I want is balanced books. Maybe it's not the battery farm. Maybe that's not the answer, but that's the point of that committee. That's the easy answer, but nothing's sure with that. We have to, whatever we do, we have to make sure that it's a sure thing. We can't bet on anything, because we just aren't in that position. Any other questions? Yes.
Just to follow up, do you know approximately what the delta was between what the school did levy and the max?
All I know, when I looked at it, they $500,000 in that levy year was left on the table.
For 1 year?
Yes, but once you lower that ceiling, you can never get it back.
Right.
Unless you go back to referendum.
Right.
So that ceiling, which was here, became here. So in all the ensuing years, we keep bumping against the ceiling. When all our programs were designed to use that full levy,
And we didn't do it that year.
we don't have our full levy to use. And that's just the way it is. We're here now, we gotta fix it. Anybody want to say anything? You don't have to.
did you have
If
Oh,
we
go
have
ahead.
like a town hall meeting, because I'm not sure the community's gonna be blasted by this. They're
I
gonna be
understand.
shocked.
I understand.
And the reason why we didn't do the refer, they sent out mailers to the community meeting, not just parents. The firm that they hired to kind of put a feeler out, it came back so bad that the person that represented the firm, he was in shock. He actually told us, he's like, actually talked to Dr. Beat and said, did you forget to tell me something? Like, it was so negative. It was actually angry answer, but that's why they didn't.
4 years ago, it wasn't
was.
sold correctly, it's a moot point.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that's why
It
that
was.
was dead in the water immediately, but we moved forward with all the buildings, so.
I think it's fair to say that everyone that's sitting here on the board knows that we have a problem and we're willing to put our community, well, first our students first and then our community, because this is the center of what our community is. We're here, our business is to provide high quality education for our students. A lot of us have students here, we're invested, and we know that it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good for us. We know it's not gonna feel good for the community, but we wanna fix it. We wanna lead with transparency, and we wanna
We're trying to be open about all of it. And that's why we had Joe do the presentation, and that's why we wanted to get everybody that we can on board to help us move forward.
Yeah, I'm asking just to make sure it's very clear understanding how we got to this point and how do we move forward and what would happen if we don't bring in the revenue to fix this deficit. Because that's something we've always prided ourselves with small class sizes.
Yeah.
And when those go up,
I
that's
understand.
a big difference.
Totally understand that.
Will your presentation, because I was looking on the agenda and I couldn't see the slides, is that available?
Yeah, we're gonna put it up on the web,
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
either later
Just
tonight or
direct
tomorrow.
everybody
Yeah.
else to look at it.
Yeah,
So it'll be
sent out.
posted.
And for anybody who is not able to come tonight and community members may hear from them, the meeting will be available on YouTube to review.
Yeah.
And as Dr. Billy said, he is available for questions. His email address is on the district's website. Thank you very much for presenting tonight. This is not easy information to digest.
No.
The board has had some conversations about some of this. Personally, as somebody who has sat on this board since 2021, this has been very difficult information to digest. I have honestly been grappling with some, just feeling very misguided and digesting what is, for me, shocking information. I'm so thankful that now we have transparent information, that we are presenting that as openly as we possibly can with the community. I'm thankful for our board members that are, really united on moving forward in creative ways, being transparent. I know that you have been transparent with staff and administrative and are working on continuing that. And I anticipate that we will have updates monthly on how things are going and what is moving forward. I'm also looking forward to the Financial Accountability and Oversight Committee to come to fruition. So I strongly encourage anybody interested to please reach out if you're interested in participating in that.
It'd be great to have enough to actually have to pull names out of a hat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, join up.
I'll just say that I had a boss one time who said, you don't know how you look till you get your picture took. He was from North Carolina. And I really appreciate you bringing this view to us. So we know where we are and we know what we have to go after. So just really appreciate it for the work.
I also just want to say thank you. I know the last few months have been challenging and stressful to say the least, and you really devoted a lot of time to us. Both you and Dr. Sharma Lewis, your work here has been instrumental in moving us towards a culture of transparency. It's critical that the community is hearing these numbers. It's out there, or will be out there later tonight or tomorrow. As Dr. Bailey said, we are operating in a structural deficit, and we're going to really need community input to see where we go. I think trust has been tested in this district by a pattern of dismissiveness, speculative financial decisions, and a lack of transparency. And I think this board that sits here today, along with Ms. Jenkins, who is out, is committed to enhanced accountability and transparency. And I think our incoming superintendent will continue to carry that forward as well. But there's definitely conversations that need to take place. We are not in this deficit by an accident. It was a choice. I think there was poor guidance. The prior board did not receive the education and training regarding these decisions that they probably should have. And not taking a full levy has really catapulted us into the situation that we're at today. So I think, just to reiterate, we are all here to be stewards of our community through tax dollars and ensuring our students' futures. And all of us have children at the school. And Carlo, to reiterate what you said, small class size has always been something this district has prided themselves on. It's not something that as a board that we want to see change, but unfortunately we're faced with this harsh reality right now. I, was not sitting on the board when the referendum committee was out before, Jason, and, to hear that it was split 70-30 is concerning. And as you said, it wasn't presented right. So
Well, we spent the money that we wanted anyways. I mean, we decided it's okay. I'm not gonna ask for any more money. They don't wanna pay any more money, but we're gonna give them all the things that they want and dream about. It's just, it's absurd behavior.
and we certainly understand that. So moving forward, that's why I hope you're gonna apply for the committee. I hope to see your name in the hat and gather some other people, because we need ideas. We're here to be accountable for that. And you know, we've got to figure out how to move forward is ultimately what are we doing? And it will be interesting to see what the community thinks. I mean,
We are part of your community. We represent you. So we need you to bring questions to us. If something's not working for us, like, it's important that you let us know so we can pivot, and we just need to get better.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Nicole. Is there anyone
If no
else?
further questions, I'm set.
Can I ask one more? Sorry.
Okay, fire away.
Worst case scenario, we don't improve in 3 years. What happens to the school working and continuing deficit? Does the state take over?
Yes, eventually.
And what is that?
I've never been in this situation,
Really?
No.
Okay.
but I do know of other districts that have. It's not pretty. When the state takes over, this board will lose its ability to operate because they'll have a board over them. Also, taxpayers won't get to decide what they're paying in taxes. That board above these people will actually decide what their taxes are to get them out of deficit. So we, right now, for about 18 months, we still control our future. We have to get answers. And then we'll see. I've heard members of the board say that this is, they trust the community, that the community will do the right thing, and we will be fine if given all the information. And that's what we plan to do. We just have to figure out what the right thing is. And that's why we have that committee. Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey. Are there any other comments from the board or questions? Okay, great. Anything else from either of you? Thank you so much. May I have a motion to adjourn at 8:02 p.m.?
So
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.
Thank you, everybody.